Today, we're going to talk about the hook in arm wrestling. The hook is one of the most fundamental moves in the sport. The hook is the power move of arm wrestling. It takes the match out of the hand and puts it into the arm, like a real man does. However, a lot of people don't truly understand how to hook in an arm wrestling match, and they are limiting their power. But don't worry, in this video, we're going to show you the secret to hooking in arm wrestling. The secret that allows you to instantly increase your power in a hook. This is the same secret used by Devon Larratt that allows him to beat people in a hook that are way stronger than he is. And this is a technique that anyone can use, whether you are a hook puller or a top roller. But what even is a hook anyway? There are several components in a hook that make a hook a hook. In a traditional hook, the very most foundational part of the move is to obtain an arm-on-arm position. This can be achieved by supination or by wrist flexion, and in most cases, both at the same time, exactly like this. Notice how both guys are totally carved in, their wrists are bent, and their wrists are touching. This is an example of arm-on-arm contact, as opposed to this match where there is only hand-on-hand contact. This means that theoretically, the winner of this match should be determined by whoever has the stronger arm. And this is pretty much what most hook matches are gonna look like. You supinate your arm, bend your wrist, grit your teeth, and drive sideways as hard as you can until you either win, break your arm, or soil yourself. Or even better, all three at the same time. But what if I told you that this is not the right way to hook? What if there is a different way of hooking in arm wrestling that was stronger, more efficient, and safer? Man, if only there was a tall green Canadian to show us how to hook properly. Oh, look at that, there is. Behold! The Devon Larratt hook. Devon Larratt's hooking technique is vastly different from most hook pullers. The primary difference between Devon's hook and a traditional hook is bicep involvement versus shoulder commitment. Most hook pullers, like the ones we saw earlier, are using a dragging-based hook. They drag their elbow and their shoulder backward at the same time. And this is the secret. Devon Larratt does not do this. Devon does drag his elbow backward, but he brings his shoulder forward at the same time. This results in this strange looking posture where Devon's elbow is at the very back of the pad, way inside his body, but his shoulder is in the center of the table. Here's the normal hook, and here's the Devon hook. Normal hook, Devon hook. See the difference? But why is this better? It certainly doesn't look as cool. Firstly, Devon is increasing his side pressure. You will always be stronger going sideways if your shoulder is behind your arm. Secondly, Devon is protecting his bicep. In a traditional hook, there is a ton of pressure on your bicep. Normally, whoever loses because their bicep gets stretched out and exposed. But in Devon's hook, your bicep is being protected by your shoulder commitment. Thirdly, the Devon hook is actually safer. In a traditional hook, the angle of your elbow is often close to 90 degrees. When you drive sideways from this 90-degree position, there is a huge amount of spiraling force being applied to your humerus bone. If great enough, this force can result in an arm break. But in Devon's hook, he has adjusted the linearity between his elbow and shoulder to where there is minimal spiraling force on the humerus. And lastly, the Devon hook is way better for endurance. This is because Devon is using his bone integrity to apply force instead of using his musculature. His bones are never going to get tired, whereas his muscles do get tired. Trying to arm wrestle against the Devon hook is like trying to arm wrestle a metal pole. It doesn't matter how good your endurance is, you will always get tired first. Wait a second, isn't the Devon hook just a fancy name for a press? While this move may look similar to a press, it's actually different. The key difference is in the elbow. During a press, you are moving both your shoulder and your elbow forward at the same time. But in the Devon hook, you bring your shoulder forward while dragging your elbow backward. And that is why it's not a press. I think. I don't know. The point is, the move is totally busted and everyone should be using it. But what about top rollers? Top rollers can still incorporate this move into their game. One of the very best uses for this move is to bleed out your opponent because of how efficient it is. So this move is great for a super match. You can open a match by top rolling your opponent, but once you take hand control, you can begin to think about transitioning to a Devon hook while maintaining your hand control, like an exploding hand Devon hook thingy. From here, you can just sit there forever until your opponent gasses out or realizes what you're doing and quits on purpose. So maybe you should scream and act like you're trying really hard or something. And there you have it. How to hook in arm wrestling the mad scientist way. A technical cue I find very helpful when trying to implement this move is to think about touching your right elbow to your left hip. If it feels horrible and you start cramping, perfect, you're doing it right. Best wishes for those of you who end up trying this move in real life.